So that is where Sri Lanka stands at the moment. A president on the run, a sitting duck parliament and a capital besieged. Where do they go from here? You could say Sri Lanka has hit rock bottom, so the only way to go is up. But that journey depends on a lot of variables. Tonight we're focusing on 3 of them: political leadership, public cooperation and international assistance. Sri Lanka's recovery depends on these 3 variables. Let's start with the leadership. At the moment, there isn't any. President Gotabaya has gone with the wind. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe is planning to step down. So Sri Lanka is facing a power vacuum. Their constitution is clear on what needs to be done. If the president resigns, the parliament elects a new one. They have 1 month to do so. But the question is, can the parliament come together for this? So far, there's no consensus candidate. The opposition has named this man, Sajith Premadasa. He was Gotabaya's rival in the 2019 presidential election. Premadasa comes with bold policies. He is against the presidential system of governance. He supports Tamil reconciliation. And most importantly, he is untainted. Premadasa has never been in government, which means he had nothing to do with this crisis. But will Parliament give him a chance? Even now, the Rajapaksas dominate Sri Lanka's parliament. Their party, the SLPP, makes up 113 out of 225 members. And who are they supporting? Well, no one at the moment. The SLPP is yet to nominate a presidential candidate. But they can't hold back for long. The Speaker has called the Parliament back into session. On the 20th of July, they will elect a new president. And by then, the ruling party will have to make up their mind on who their candidate will be. Ideally, Sri Lanka needs a consensus candidate, someone who can unite the country, someone who is not politically divisive. If not, the public reaction could be disastrous. That's variable number 2. How long will the people cooperate? They started off with a peaceful sit-in protest. And how did the government respond? With half measures. Mahinda Rajapaksa resigned, he was the Prime Minister, but his brother carried on as President. Then the protesters turned aggressive. They breached the presidential mansion. They burned the Prime Minister's house. This time, Gotabaya promised to resign, but once again, there is confusion about the successor. So do you see the problem here? Sri Lanka's politicians are not rising to the occasion. Instead of a complete overhaul, they're offering half-hearted solutions. So what do the people do? They escalate. Today's scenes are proof of this escalation. Wickremesinghe's plan is to impose a state of emergency, to use curfews to restore order. But that plan could backfire. What if protesters clash with security officials? What if there is bloodshed? That is a big worry for Sri Lanka. Their government is finding a security solution for a political problem. And that simply does not work. We've seen it in West Asia, we've seen it in North Africa. When you forcefully contain public anger, it multiplies. And that's the last thing that Sri Lanka wants. Crippling shortages, no leadership, and violence on the streets. That would also complicate the global response. And that's variable number 3. Until now, the political crisis was manageable. It was, you could say, within the constitutional framework. But now we are in uncharted territory. So countries like India have to be extra careful. One reason for that is all the fake news. A lot of rumors are circulating about India's role. First, they claimed that India was deploying soldiers to Sri Lanka. The High Commission dismissed it. Now rumors claim that India helped Gotabaya Rajapaksa escape, that New Delhi facilitated his flight to the Maldives. Once again, the High Commission has denied this. The reports have been called baseless and speculative. Now, these rumors may sound laughable, but they have long-term consequences, serious consequences. You see, Gotabaya is enemy number 1 in Sri Lanka at the moment. He is political kryptonite. If India is seen helping him, the public sentiment could turn. It could damage people-to-people ties. So busting these rumors is very important for New Delhi, and so is staying away from the internal politics. All this talk of India being the big brother is frankly counterproductive. Nobody likes foreign interference in their affairs. India's External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar has underlined this position. Let me quote from his statement. This is what he said. Our commitment, our support is for the Sri Lankan people because they are our neighbors. Our focus right now is on the Sri Lankan economic situation. We are not involved in the other matters. Now, I'll give you some context. Minister Jaishankar was asked about the possibility of the Rajapaksas seeking asylum in India. And this was his response. We are focused on the economics and nothing else. It tells you how little wiggle room India has. But frankly, it's the only option. Let Sri Lanka figure out its own political mess. The problem arises if things get out of hand. If there is violence on the streets, or if sectarian divisions flare up, then Indian policymakers will have some sleepless nights. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.